Rickie is a walking angel. She's amazing, but she's also so knowledgeable and so passionate about what she teaches. Thriving with your newborn is an ultimate goal for mothers, and we want to help you guys achieve this. Rickie will be going over ways to understand your baby and communicate with them. From colic to soothing, we've got it covered in this workshop. We both struggle from colic and even suffered a little bit of PTSD over it. You're not alone. A lot of women have walked it before you and dealt with this through their newborn phase. And we know that you guys can all do it. So give a round of applause for Rickie, and she's just incredible. Look at her. So thank you.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here with you today. I was ecstatic when Jatem called me and asked me to present to you today on thriving with your newborn, because out of all the different classes that I teach, this is my favorite topic to discuss and talk about. So thank you again to Jasmine and Jatem for all of your hard work in putting this together. And thank you to all of you for coming and supporting this. I love that we are all coming from different places. Some of us are expecting a baby, some of us have little babies and might have more in the future, and some of us are birth workers and everything in between. And so I love that we are coming together to unite in the purpose of revolutionizing the postpartum period for us and for the women that we serve. So thank you, Jatem. I think we should give them one more round of applause for all that they do. It's been wonderful. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am a Lamaze certified childbirth educator, and then I also have a bachelor's degree in health promotion. And then I am also a CAPA-trained postpartum doula. Years ago, I was getting my bachelor's degree, and I knew very early on that if I could have my dream job, it would be working with mothers and with babies. And so that is what caused me to pursue becoming a certified childbirth educator. So I have been teaching childbirth classes and also newborn care classes for the last 15 years throughout the various communities where our family has lived. And I absolutely love every day when I go to work because it doesn't feel like I'm going to work. So I feel very lucky and blessed for that. I became very passionate about helping women in the postpartum period after the birth of my first baby, Davin, 15 years ago. About 3 to 4 months after he was born, I started to experience some very heavy anxiety and a lot of panic attacks, and I was terrified to be with my baby. I was terrified to be alone with my baby because I was afraid something bad was going to happen to me while I was caring for him. And that led to just spiraling anxiety and panic attacks and a lot of intrusive thoughts, maybe a little bit of OCD mixed in there. At the time they called it depression, 15 years ago, but I now know that it was more on the anxiety spectrum of things. It took me about 6 months. Someone was asking how long it can take to climb out of something like that, and every woman's different, but for me it took 6 months, and I had a lot of ups and downs. I had to really tackle things from multiple angles. I had to eat better, I had to sleep better, I joined a neighborhood play group that was going on once a week, and just tried to get to know people because we lived out of state. We didn't have family or a good support network. I also took some medication that was life-changing for me. And I just remember when my baby was about 10 months old, laying on the bed, and he was snuggling next to me, and I just had this overwhelming feeling come over me that I wanted to help other moms on their postpartum journey. I didn't want anyone to feel the way that I felt, and if they did, I wanted them to have support so they could navigate things more easily and feel more loved and supported than I did at first. So that has led me to my postpartum doula work and the newborn care classes that I teach. And again, I absolutely love love what I do. I'm also a mother to 4 children, not babies anymore. My oldest is a teenager, and my youngest is just started first grade this year. So hopefully in this presentation, I'll be able to share with you some of my best tips and wisdom from my professional background, but also from my personal experience as a mother. I have a business. All of my contact info is in there. I teach childbirth classes. I teach private childbirth classes for people that have really busy schedules and can't make a class work. And then I'm also a postpartum doula. But it's really important to me that I am a resource for mothers and families in our community. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me after this conference if you have any questions or concerns, or if there are any resources that I can point you to. Let's go ahead and dive into thriving with your newborn. I love this slide. It says, parenthood, the scariest hood you will ever go through. And I think this slide sums it up perfectly. Life with a newborn is kind of scary. Life with a 5-year-old is scary. And right now I have a teenager, like I mentioned, and that's really scary too. So when you have a baby, there is this beautiful, wonderful experience that happens. And there's a lot of joy, and it's a miracle that our bodies are able to do this, and it's wonderful. When I go to a hospital and I walk on the labor and delivery unit, or I go to a birthing center, there's almost a tangible feeling that's there of just love and joy and excitement for bringing this new human into the world. But having a baby is also very, very challenging because this newborn is completely dependent on you. And you don't get a lot of breaks. They are dependent on you 24 hours a day. You're not getting a lot of sleep. You're tired. You're recovering from labor and birth and being pregnant. And then also in your relationship with partner, you're not able to spend as much time with them too. And so navigating through that first couple of months especially can be very, very difficult for the new family as they are adjusting to everything. So I am hoping in this presentation, I can't tell you everything that you're going to need to know to take care of your baby, but hopefully I can share some good tips and some good evidence-based information for soothing and comforting your baby and deciphering their body language to help make that transition to parenthood a little bit easier for you. If you noticed, during lunchtime, I went around and I was passing out some little sticky note letters. So I'm going to have you guys help me for just a minute. I always tell expecting families it is so important to have a plan for after baby comes. It is critical to be able to have a plan for different outcomes, just in case. And that way you will be able to thrive rather than survive with your baby. So if you have a pink P that I passed out, a pink letter P, if you would stand up for just a moment for us. This will be really easy, I promise. Just have to stand for a moment. If we look at statistics, I want you to look around. As Laura pointed out, 20 to 25% of women will experience a perinatal mood or anxiety disorder either during pregnancy or after baby is here. So you guys can go ahead and sit down. Isn't that amazing? If we look at just the moms that registered for this class, or the expecting moms, or the women that are here with us, that is how many of us have that reality, and we need to be prepared for that after baby comes. We need to have a plan for how are we going to get sleep. Who can help us? Who can I talk to for emotional support? Do I have a counselor, somebody that I can call for help, just in case that happens? All right, if you have a yellow C, if you will stand up. Some of you might have more than one. If you came back from lunch and there was a piece of paper on your seat, just look at what that is and stand up. Thank you for helping me. All right, so those that are standing up, statistically speaking, you would have a baby with colic. Okay, 1 in 5 babies right now, that's the best statistic that we have, will end up being extra fussy or fall on the spectrum of being colicky. So wow, we need to be prepared. You can go ahead and sit down. We know that if a baby's extra fussy and hard, or if baby has colic, that is emotionally and physically very taxing for mom and for partner and the family. And so we need to have a plan for who we can call to give us a little bit of a break. And we need to have a plan, a good pediatrician, and some ideas for how we can cope with that colic and make it through that. Because it doesn't last forever. Usually it resolves within a couple of months, and almost always by the time the baby's 3 to 4 months old. All right, and here's the biggest one. If you have a green S, I want you to stand up and let's take a look around. I have some on the fringes too. Okay, green S. All right, it should be almost half of us that are registered for the conference. Okay, you guys have a baby that is still waking up at least once per night by the time they're 3 months old. And those of you that are sitting down, I'll get to you in just a second. So you can go ahead and sit down. So I think it is so important for expecting families to have realistic expectations when it comes to sleep for their baby. Little babies are not designed to be sleeping through the night by the time they're 8 weeks old or by the time they're 6 weeks old. Little babies, as Jatem talked about, their tummies are very small. They're doing a lot of growing. And so it's important that they wake up during the night to feed, especially when they're very, very little and newborns. Also, if we end up having a baby where maybe at 8 or 10 weeks they do start sleeping through the night, maybe 7, 8 hours on their own, it can be a blessing for mom and dad, but it can decrease your milk supply because milk supply is supply and demand. And so you're not getting that stimulation during the night and that release of the milk, and so it can decrease your supply. So the medical definition actually for a baby sleeping through the night, so those of you that were sitting down, the medical definition is actually a baby that sleeps 5 to 6 hours is considered sleeping through the night. So those that are sitting down, that would be a more reasonable expectation for baby. However, somehow in our society we have lowered sleeping through the night, and we seem to think that our babies should be sleeping 10 to 12 hours at night. Some babies do that, but most babies do not read that book. However, there are some things that we can do to support baby. We call it sleep support, to help encourage them, to nudge them in the right direction so that as they get a little bit older, they sleep longer, they get better quality sleep, and their circadian rhythm can get set at a younger age. There's things that you can do to support them. So I have a book up here, and I'll just leave it on the table, but you guys can take a picture of this book. I recommend every expecting mom read this. It's called the No Cry Sleep Solution, and it just gives you so many ideas for how to set the baby's circadian rhythm, their sleep-awake cycles, how to know when your baby's tired, how to help them nap well, and how to help them sleep better during the night. So it's all very gentle, very lovingly done. Okay, so it's important to have a plan and have realistic expectations after we have baby. What I have done is, in your booklets, you have a little handout, 2 pages, and it just says, these are some important tips to remember as you prepare for and adjust to life with your newborn. So I would highly recommend that you read through this handout. Just gives you so much good advice. I know we've talked a lot about postpartum planning, and there's a lot more information I want to make sure we get to. So definitely take a look at this. This will give you some good advice and tips and tricks for getting ready to welcome baby into the home and into the family. I have created 3 different Thrive principles that I want to share with you today to help you have success in those first couple of months with your baby. Remember, you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to do everything right. The thing I want you to do is just be trying your hardest, and that's what matters the very most, and trying to support each other in this journey. So Thrive principle number 1 is you can't spoil a newborn baby. A newborn baby, actually an infant, does not have the cognitive ability to manipulate you until they are about 12 months old. Give or take just a little bit on each side of that. So if your baby is crying, it's because they truly and genuinely have a need, and we want to respond to them lovingly and consistently if they are expressing that need to us. There was a psychologist, last name Erickson, that came up with this amazing theory, and what he says and what he found in his research is that babies in their first year of life are learning trust in the world around them. So they are learning, when I cry, somebody responds to my needs. Therefore, my needs matter, and this world is a good place. I feel good about being here. When a baby is able to establish trust in that first year, then they become a curious toddler. You ever been around a toddler, a 1, 2, or a 3-year-old, right? And they're into everything. They empty every drawer in your house. They pull every book off the shelf at the library, right? That is a really good thing when a toddler is doing that, because that means they've established trust and they feel positive about this world and they want to explore it. Now here's what this slide does not mean. It does not mean that mom has no needs. And it does not mean that dad or partner does not have any needs either. Let's just say your baby wakes up in the middle of the night and you're gearing up for a nursing session with the baby, but you need to go to the bathroom and you need to get a drink or a snack really quick. Absolutely. Take care of you for a minute. Go to the bathroom, get a drink, get a snack, and then go and take care of your baby. You're still responding to them within a very reasonable amount of time, and you're consistently and lovingly responding to them, and that is what is the main concern with this Thrive principle. So my second Thrive principle, I have a question for you, although I already put the answer up there. What does a fussy baby say about you? Someone answer that for me. If you have a fussy baby, what does it say about you as a mom? Nothing, right? What I think a good mom is, to me, is a mom who is trying her hardest and is trying to respond in a loving way to her baby. It doesn't mean you're always going to get everything right and you're going to know every single need and your baby's never going to cry. That's not a good mom. We have a tendency to be really hard on ourselves and think if our baby's not happy, we must not be doing a good job. I want you to free yourself from that expectation. Your baby can sense if you are there with them and if you are there comforting them and you're trying to help them figure it out. And that's what matters. And Thrive principle number 3, just because I can doesn't mean I should. I really want expecting parents to take some time and plan for the first couple weeks home with baby. And I want you to plan ahead and eliminate as many distractions as possible so that you can just have your baby close to you in those first couple of weeks, and your mind and your body can be free of all those other tasks. The reason is if your baby is nice and close to you and doing lots of skin to skin, like we're going to talk about here in just a minute, you are going to learn to respond to your baby's cues and your baby's body language much faster than if you are trying to just pick up right where you left off before you have baby. You will be able to pick up on right away when your baby's hungry. You know, as Jatem mentioned, they bring their fist to their mouth, or they start doing that with their mouth and their tongue, or they might even start rooting. They start turning their head, so maybe partner's even holding baby and they're like trying to munch on partner. That's a cue, that's a body language cue that says, feed me, I want to eat now, before they start crying and get fussy. So this is just going to help you get to know your baby even faster. Studies have shown that when babies are close to their mom in the first several months, Maybe even I see a lot of baby wearing today, which I love. When babies are real close to mom, they tend to be less fussy later on as they get older. So keep your babies close and give yourself permission and space. Let some of those tasks and responsibilities go for the first little bit. Okay. These are just my best tips for getting through those first couple of weeks postpartum, and these are in that handout that I just referred you to. So definitely read that handout, and then this slide deck will be on our Facebook page for the Postpartum Revolution, so you can come back and take a look at this slide as well. One thing I do want to touch on though is rest. They have found that one of the biggest predictors of postpartum depression is actually fatigue in mom, and lack of sleep can definitely contribute to that. So very important to have some sort of a sleep and a rest plan for after baby comes. And then I put this on here, Hasmin had something that was somewhat similar to this, but this is a cute slide that I made, and I think it would be great for parents to just print off something like this and put it on your front door or on your refrigerator after you have a baby. And these are newborn visitor rules. And what this does is it just helps your guests that come over. It gently and lovingly reminds them that they need to help you in the first couple weeks postpartum, that we would like them to offer some help. I also highly, highly recommend that you make a list. I learned this from my Kappa trainer and I love it. I want you, if you're expecting a baby, make a list of all your helpers. Who are all the people in your life that you would consider a helper? That when they come over to your house, you don't feel like you have to entertain them. They are just going to jump in and help you get things done. And then I want you to make a list of all your visitors. People that you want to see and you know are going to want to come see the baby, but when they come over, you're going to feel like you need to entertain them. In the first couple of weeks postpartum, I only want you to try really hard to let your helpers come. Set some boundaries. Don't let the visitors come in those first couple weeks. You don't need to be entertaining. You need your helpers. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and jump into some ideas for soothing and comforting your baby and deciphering their body language. Some of you might be familiar. This is a picture of Dr. Harvey Karp. He has a PhD and has studied child development for a long time. He has written a book called The Happiest Baby on the Block, and I would highly recommend that read for any expecting parent. And he has a great website full of lots of resources. But in his research, what he found was that newborns were not completely done developing when they were born. He felt like their neurological system and the rest of their body systems needed another 3 months or another trimester to finish developing outside of the womb. And so he has created 5 S's plus 2 bonus ones to help you comfort your baby. And they are all based on recreating the womb for your newborn. So if you think about if you're expecting, I know I saw some really cute baby bellies out there today. Your baby is nestled inside of the womb right now, super happy, comfy, there's noise going on, there's rhythm, there's movement. And so if we can recreate the womb in those first couple of months, that is going to help your baby soothe and calm down much more easily. So I'm going to show you some of these. I am not blessed with height. I did not grow very tall as I was growing up. So if you need to stand up for just a sec to see me, feel free to do that and then sit back down. I just want to kind of demonstrate his 5 S's. So the first one is swinging and swaying with your baby. So this is just kind of a gentle, you can make this up, just like a gentle swinging motion or swaying with your baby. You can go back and forth. I did a lot of running with my 4th baby, Callan. And so I think because of, sorry, I feel like this is getting a little loud. I'm not sure the best position there. I did a lot of running with him, so I felt like the light swinging and swaying wasn't his favorite. He liked a little more vigorous bounce from the running in the wheel. So we just don't want you to be like shaking your baby or not supporting their head and their neck, but just kind of a light bounce or a little bit more of a firm bounce is completely fine. That's what it feels like to your baby when you're walking around, when you're going to the store. It's a nice, gentle rocking and swaying motion. Another thing that you can do in combination with that swinging and sway is just add a little pat to your baby. So this mimics the heartbeat that your baby is feeling inside of the womb. They're constantly hearing your heartbeat, and it's a consistent rhythm. So some babies love that rhythmic pat. The next one is making a sound for your baby. Any ideas why the baby would like that? Wait, I think I heard it. Yes, it's the sound of like the blood rushing in and out of the umbilical cord inside of the womb for the baby. So usually my first trick, when I pick up a baby that's crying, I start doing this, I pat, and I do that. And a lot of times they will calm right down. Next, you can add a sucking motion for the baby. So if your baby's breastfeeding, your baby does not know how to overeat like we are. So even if they just ate, it's okay to bring them to the breast if you want to help give them something to suckle. If your hands are clean, you can just stick a finger or a little pinky inside a baby's mouth and they can suckle on that. And then, like Jatin mentioned, once breastfeeding is well established, or if you feel like baby needs it sooner based on your family situation, you can introduce a pacifier for your baby. And that sucking motion, a lot of times they're sucking on their little hands or their own little tongue inside of the womb, and so that's very soothing for them. I don't have time to demonstrate the swaddle, but you can tell that my baby here is wrapped up in a little burrito wrap, right? My baby burrito. This reminds baby of being nestled all snug inside of your uterus, and they love that. So add the swaddle in if baby's being fussy. Just a couple of tips on safe swaddling. What we can try to do is send a link maybe on our Facebook page to maybe a YouTube video that shows a really great way to swaddle your baby. A couple things though, we want to make sure we're being safe. Always use a lightweight, breathable blanket for swaddling. We don't want to use a heavy blanket because if for any reason baby kicks out of that while they're sleeping, we don't want to have a suffocation hazard that can go over their face that they can't breathe through. So something like this or those lightweight muslin swaddle blankets are wonderful. Secondly, pediatricians right now are recommending the swaddle be tighter up here, chest, arm area, but looser in the hip area. We don't want to be real tight here because we want their hips and the upper parts of their legs to be able to have some movement so those hips develop properly. And then the third recommendation that's new that came out for swaddling is that once your baby starts to roll over, so once they're about 3 to 4 months of age, we want you to start weaning your baby off of swaddling when they sleep and start discontinuing that just in case baby rolls over in the middle of the night and they're all bundled up and they're not able to push up and get back onto their back. We want them to be able to breathe really well. So discontinue when baby starts rolling over. Oh, and then lastly we have baby on their stomach. So imagine babies nowadays, they spend a lot of time doing this. Car seat ride, bouncer, swing. And then now, because of safe sleep, trying to get babies to reduce that risk of SIDS or sudden infant death syndrome, we want babies on their back to sleep. And so babies just might need a break. So just get yourself in your bed, prop yourself up with some pillows or lean up against the couch, put baby on their tummy, and let baby get some tummy time. It's okay if they fall asleep on their tummy while they're on you, as long as you're awake and you're there and you're watching them and keeping an eye that their airway, everything's going good, okay? If you're going to fall asleep, you're feeling super tired, baby's conked out, I would probably go ahead and transfer them to their crib or bassinet on their back. Bonus S number 1 is singing to your baby. You don't have to have a beautiful singing voice. Guess what? Your baby loves your voice, and your voice is their favorite. So even just humming to your baby will calm them down, and they love. I used to make up songs about, I'd sing like to the wheels on the bus. I would sing it about changing their diaper, or you can just be silly with it. Have fun, sing to your baby. Bonus S number 2 is my favorite topic, skin to skin. Jatem talked about this. It's really important in the first hour after baby's born to help promote breastfeeding. But you can do skin to skin when you get home, and you can also have partner help with skin to skin with your baby too. All you do, you don't even really have to take off the baby's diaper. You can leave the baby's diaper on. I would strip baby down out of their cute pajamas, even though I'm obsessed with baby pajamas. Take them out of those, and then you can just kind of open up your shirt or your gown or whatever you're wearing, so it's just chest to chest with your baby, and just hold baby here. You can kind of lean back and lounge and be super comfy. Partner can even do this. It's football season, okay? Favorite thing, partner has baby hair, skin to skin, watching a football game. It's a win for everybody. Babies' touch receptors are the strongest sense that is developed in your baby at birth. So ahead of vision, hearing, taste, all the different senses, touch is the strongest sense and most developed in your newborn. So it's no wonder that skin to skin just calms that baby right down. Skin to skin causes oxytocin to be released by mom, and so it can actually help boost your milk supply as well. You might be doing skin to skin, and a little bit of breast milk might leak out of your breast, and that's okay. That's just oxytocin causing you to bond with your baby, feel good hormones, and it's helping your milk supply. And partner can also get that oxytocin release as well, and get those just strong love and bonding feelings with their baby. For a mom who's experiencing any sort of postpartum mood disorder, I highly recommend doing as much skin to skin as possible with your baby, just to help those feel-good hormones come out in mom and help those bonding feelings be as strong as possible. Okay. All right. So now we're going to watch a 3-minute video clip. And this is going to be talking about your baby's body language and what it's telling you they need as far as interventions and support goes. So you're going to be learning in the video what some physical signs and what some behavioral signs are of an SOS in your baby. And SOS standing for signs of overstimulation in your newborn. So we're going to watch the video. I want you to pay attention. What are the physical signs of an SOS? What are behavioral signs? And then how can we increase support for your baby? And we'll talk about it for just a moment after the video is over.
Three important questions about their baby. How do I help my baby eat and sleep well? How do I calm my baby? And how do I play with my newborn so that he or she can learn and grow? 2 skills will help you take care of your baby. The first parent skill is learning what zone your baby is in, how awake, or how fussy, or how sleepy the baby is. Babies have 3 zones. They have their resting zone, which is their sleeping zone. They have their ready zone when the baby is ready to eat or ready to play. And babies have their rebooting zone, which is their fussing or crying zone, when parents' help is especially needed. The word rebooting reminds us of our computer. Sometimes a computer can be processing so much information at once that it will reboot. And the baby sometimes takes in so much information, either from the outside world or from inside her body, that she becomes overwhelmed with too much stimulation. The second parent skill is recognizing when your baby sends out an SOS. SOS stands for Sign of Overstimulation. All newborns are at times overstimulated as they adjust to being out in the world. Babies born early SOS more often. The first first way babies send out an SOS is with changes in their body, skin color, movement, and breathing. This baby, who was born a few weeks early, shows these body SOSs. See how his face turns a bit red in color? His muscles jerk and shake, and his breathing gets faster. The second way babies send out an SOS is with changes in their behavior, spacing out, switching off, and shutting down. This baby demonstrates the first behavioral SOS, spacing out. Watch as Jan plays with the baby by shaking a rattle. The baby begins to look like she is staring into space. Spacing out is a sign of overstimulation. This baby demonstrates the second behavioral SOS, switching off, described in the medical literature as gaze aversion. The harder the mother tries to get the baby's attention, the more the baby looks the other way. This switching off is a sign that the baby is trying to manage the amount of stimulation she takes in. Mothers are relieved to learn what this behavior means, and that it is not a sign that the baby is rejecting her. This baby demonstrates the third behavioral SOS, shutting down. Again, we see Jan playing with the baby. Though the baby is momentarily engaged with this play, she soon begins to get drowsy and shuts down as a response to too much stimulation. When you notice your baby having an SOS, you wonder how to help. You can respond to an SOS by decreasing stimulation and increasing support of your baby. Decrease stimulation by speaking quietly to the overstimulated baby. Increase support by holding your baby's hands against his chest or gently swaying him. Putting your baby skin to skin or breastfeeding him will also decrease that SOS.
This is little apartment.
Get the house up there. Okay, make sure. Oh, good. Still good on time. All right. So in your handouts, if you go past that first little preparing for baby, that 2-page handout, you have one that looks like this, where it says crying, and then below that some little colored arrows. So I put on there Dr. Karp's 5 S's. But let's talk for a minute. I just want to reiterate what we watched. What are some physical signs, if we're playing with our baby or we're hanging out with baby, that they might be overstimulated and they're about ready to start fussing? Like, what would their body look like? You can just raise your hand if you remember one. Yes. Okay, she said a jerking motion. Okay, their movements get really uncoordinated and jerking. And what happens with their skin color? I think I heard it. Red, like they get more pink, red. They just look like they are annoyed and getting frustrated. Okay, another sign of overstimulation. What might your baby do with their face? Will you tell us? I think you just did it. Yes, baby might, like you're playing with a toy with the baby and they are not wanting to interact and gaze at you. That is a sign of overstimulation. Or if you're holding a little toy in front of them and they're just staring right through you, that means, okay, we want to get this baby comforted before they escalate to being fussy. Sometimes babies, have you ever been to the movie theater and the mom has a newborn baby there and baby's sleeping through the whole movie? Okay, that is because little babies don't know how to tune out things that our brain does. When they walk into this room, a baby's like, oh, I see the lights, I see the windows, I see lots of people, I hear lots of noise, whereas we can kind of tune out some of those things and focus on the speaker or the person that we're talking to. So babies can get overstimulated really easily, and so we want to be looking for those signs so that we can increase support and help our baby. The way that you help them is by dimming the lights. Maybe you're at a big family gathering and they start sending you an SOS. Go into a quieter room and swaddle your baby, or gently swing to your baby, or sing to them, do skin to skin. Anything like that will help calm the baby down, and they'll either go to sleep, most likely, or want to eat again. But hopefully that will help you avert baby progressing to a fussy stage. So at the bottom of this handout with those colored arrows, this is called infant states of alertness. And I'd love to share this with expecting families that take my classes. What I want you to do is when you have a baby, and those of you that do have a baby, I want you just to study your baby. And especially when you first bring baby home, I want you to just watch them. Just spend time observing your baby and try to figure out which one of these stages of alertness your baby is in. And based on where they're at, you can get an idea for where they're headed and what kind of support or what kind of activities are going to be helpful for your baby. So for example, we're going to start here in quiet sleep. This is where baby is in super deep sleep. This is where if you tried to lift up their arm, it would just flop down and they wouldn't even wake up. You're tickling your baby, they're not moving. They're in complete deep sleep. So this would not be the time to wake them up because you guys are going on a date and you want them to hurry up and eat. They're probably not going to respond and you're going to get frustrated. We just need to hang out. Babies transition from deep sleep to active sleep. Every several, sometimes 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes later, they'll be back in active sleep. You'll have more luck waking them up here if you're wanting to breastfeed the baby. Sometimes from an active sleep, they will go back down to a quiet sleep and then back up to active, back down to quiet, back up to active. Sometime from active sleep, they'll begin waking up and becoming more alert. If baby's in active sleep, you'll probably see some movements during their sleep. You might even see the REM sleep where their eyes are fluttering, almost as if they're dreaming. They might even kind of make some lip smacking movements in their sleep or smile. That just means they're in this active stage. If you're wanting to breastfeed, if it's been a little while and you're thinking, I need to feed your baby up and then get them latched onto the breast, they're usually calmer here, and we'll do that for you more easily. One little trick is a lot of parents, if babies are taking a nap, maybe they've been in quiet sleep and they start to stir in their sleep. They're still sleeping, but they're just kind of stirring a little bit. A lot of parents think, oh, they're waking up, so we'll go ahead and grab baby. But the reality is that baby might go back to this quiet asleep for you. So if you just hang tight, if they're not fussing and they're just stirring, just hang tight for a minute. Let them be for a minute or two and see, they might on their own go back into a quiet sleep and give you just a little bit more of a nap in there. Drowsy is kind of just that state. They're tired, they're either trying to wake up or go to sleep. So it's just a transition state. I probably wouldn't give the baby a bath if they were drowsy. They might suddenly wake up and be really upset with you. You're just going to support baby in the drowsy state. You're going to hold them, help them wake up more gently if they're waking up, or pat them, soothe them, give them something to suck if they're trying to go down to sleep. My favorite state is quiet alert. So this is where your baby is calm, eyes are open, and you're just looking around. You want to be captive with this because the state doesn't always last super long with a newborn. So if they are in that quiet alert state, I want you to hold your baby or get down on the floor and interact with them. Read to them, sing to them, just talk to your baby. You can read the newspaper to them, whatever, read your Instagram feed to them. They'll be super excited just to hear your voice. Babies can see 8 to 12 inches away right at birth. They can't see 20/20 vision, so you're still blurry to them, but just hold your baby and let them look at you and talk to you, and they will fall in love with you just like you will fall in love with your baby. Once quiet alert is over, babies can progress to active alert. This right here is usually where we see those SOSs that we just watched in that video, right? This is where baby's like, oh, I don't know what to do, I've been awake for a while, and I'm getting kind of stressed. So they're moving around, jerkier movements, their color increases. It's where they might start tuning you out. You've been on the floor singing to them and they're turning away from you. So in this stage, watch for the SOSs and give your baby support. swaddling, swaying, talking, turning down the lights. If it's time for baby to eat again, go ahead and offer them something to eat. If it's not, if it's time for sleep, try to get them down to sleep. Oftentimes a swaddle and sucking and swaying, and within 5-10 minutes they'll be asleep. So watch for the SOSs here. Sometimes they are going to progress to crying, even though we are trying our best to intervene before, and that's okay. Babies cry a lot. Just do your best to comfort the baby. But I love this system because it kind of helps you know where baby might go next, right? And what you can do. Okay. All right, we just have a couple minutes left, so I just want to finish up by talking to you about colic, and then I'll just share a couple of closing thoughts, pieces of advice with you. So as far as colic goes, remember we talked about 1 in 5 babies will experience colic. Colic, though, is a pretty rigid definition. Okay, we call it the rule of 3s. This is a baby that cries for at least 3 hours a day. Baby has been doing this at least 3 days a week, and this has been going on for at least 3 weeks. And what makes me crazy about this definition is that sounds really hard. And I hope that moms are seeking help well before they are getting this official diagnosis of colic. But I also think that there are babies that are close to colic. Maybe they don't completely fit this rule of 3s, but they're like a fussy baby. And so those moms need a lot of support too. And so all the tips that I'm going to give you, you can use for a fussy baby as well. They don't really know for sure what causes colic, and they don't think from any research that baby is in any danger or that baby is sick at all. They just think that for some reason some babies experience this. But here's some advice for coping with colic, because that's 3 hours a day, especially in the evenings when you're tired, can be very taxing for you. So the first thing that I tell parents if they have a colicky baby is look for signs of gas in the baby. So one theory is that they feel like deep inside the baby's gut there's some deep gut bubbles that are not able to be released. So normally, if you have baby up over your shoulder to burp, they don't have to be up over your shoulder. But you can, with a colicky baby, bring baby up just a little bit higher on your shoulder so that you're putting a little more pressure on their tummy. And that might help get a little bit of a deeper burp. Or you can try to burp the baby with them laying on your lap. Okay? You can also look for foods in your diet that might be causing colic. So some real leafy greens can cause gas. Onions. I love salsa. That's really acidic. So sometimes that can cause gassiness in your baby. It is hard, though, to definitively know if a certain food is triggering a reaction in your baby. The best thing you can do is try to eliminate it, but maybe give it a week or 2 weeks, and then kind of reevaluate. Sometimes it can take a while to fully notice that, okay, I think that might have been the culprit. The next thing you can do is decrease stimulation about an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour before the colic tends to kick in every day. So my 4th baby, he wasn't official colic, but in my head he was, because from 6 until 10 every night he had to be held, and he had to be busy, and he required my full attention. And it was hard because he had 3 older siblings that also needed my attention too. But what I think was happening is at 3 o'clock, everyone came home from school, right? And the house was just, woo, mom, homework, this, and this poor little baby was saying, I'm way overstimulated. And so what I would do is about an hour before, I would put him in I would wear him, do baby wearing, and I would just try to keep the house quieter, send the other kids upstairs, or have things be calmed down, turn on some quieter music. And then for him, he was my one that liked to run inside of me. So I would do more, I called it baby Disneyland. You know, we had the baby bounce, and then we'd spend it like a little bit. I'd put him in his car seat and buckle him in. And then we'd do the car seat swing. So that was our other little ride. And we'd do the stair climb. And we would do all those things. And that really, really helped him. But I do think taking a look at what's going on right before a baby's getting fussy and modifying the environment if you can make a big difference. Enlist support is huge. You need a break. You need to have a trusted adult or a postpartum doula if you don't know anybody in the community, somebody that can come and help give you a few minutes or an hour or 2 hours of relief, at least a couple times a week, so that you can emotionally come back and be ready to care for your baby, because it's very, very hard to cope with a fussy baby for a long period of time. This is probably my number one thing if you forget everything else. It is okay for you to put the baby in a safe place and walk away for a minute if you need to. Okay, I know I've told you we need to respond to baby in a loving way really quickly, but with colic, when you've been doing that for 2 hours, and baby's not calming down, that can be really hard. So it is okay if you feel yourself getting frustrated ever with your baby. I want you to put baby in their bassinet or their crib in a totally safe place, and then it's okay. You can go in the other room, get a snack, take a deep breath. You've been trying to help that baby and you've done your very best. And so we'd rather have you do that than get frustrated. Colic, as I mentioned, typically tends to pass by the time the baby's 3 to 4 months of age. And interestingly enough, it's like they just put in an extra blessing for the parents that survive a baby with colic. Those babies tend to test higher on IQ tests down the road. So there is a little perk. Maybe it's all the extra loving and talking that they get. I did put the next 2 pages in your book are all about colic. So much advice in there on coping with colic and so many tips. I will say, if you ever have a baby though that is fussy and crying and inconsolable for any period of time, and you feel like, okay, this isn't normal for my baby, I do want you to call your pediatrician, because it could be colic, but it could also be something else. And so your pediatrician is going to want to make sure that nothing is physically wrong with your baby. So if something's out of an ordinary, baby's crying a lot more and just inconsolable, we want to give them a call and make sure that nothing medically is going on with your infant. All right, so I'm just going to finish with this quote and a thought. Just my favorite quote from Mother Teresa. Says, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." And the reason that I love that quote is because it's so hard as a new mom. You know, it's your identity for just a little bit. You know, you don't, like my husband can go to work and write a big report and, you know, feel like he's getting something accomplished. Whereas me as a mom, I change a diaper and an hour later I change the diaper again. Everything I do gets undone as a mom. And it's important to remember that what you are doing, even though it may seem like it's small tasks over and over again, it is so important. And you are laying the foundation of something that is really great and important for your infant with every task that you do with love for them. My other piece of advice in conclusion is that, you know, I've given you a lot of tips today, but you have an intuition and you have an inner wisdom that will guide you through parenting your children. I want you to listen to that mom gut, because the mom gut is better at detecting anything that's wrong or knowing baby's needs better than any laboratory test or any psychologist's textbook or study that they've done. So I have found that over the years too. Whenever I'm working with a mom and she says, "I think my baby's hungry," I always go with what mom says, because mom is usually right. You have this intuition. If you ever feel like something's not right with your baby, advocate, go to your provider and have them listen to you. If they don't, find a provider that does, because you do. You have that intuition to guide you. And some people might give you advice and you might think, that sounds great, it just doesn't feel right for my child. And that's okay, you have permission because you are the mother, and this extends to partners too. So listen to that gut, and I think that will serve you very well. So I really appreciate all of your time and the opportunity to be here today, and I hope that you found some information that's helpful for you in caring for your newborn.